Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Bouncing Back with Brighton. In today's episode we're going to review our summer transfer activity and then play Chelsea in the Community Shield. Now just to warn you, I've spent the most amount of money I think I've ever spent on a single player, definitely in FM19. So as you can see, an absolutely huge amount of transfer business has happened this summer. We have spent £187 million while bringing in £158 million. It's took quite a bit of work to recreate our squad a little bit, make the necessary improvements I think might make us competitive in the Champions League. We'll go to the ins after we're finished with the outgoings. The first of which is Jeremy Doku, who's been at the club quite a while now and he's left the club to join Wolfsburg for £45 million. Now when we signed this guy, I did envisage him being one of the best players in the world. He didn't quite reach that sort of level. Maybe a good Premier League player to probably like a top half player, I think I would be fair to say. But he has left 45 million straight up, no instalments. He won him for 4 seasons after signing for 17 million. Nice bit of profit. Thanks very much, Jeremy Doku, but you're no longer required. Next up to leave was Rodrigo Marquez, who ended up joining Shakhtar Donetsk for £40 million. He's another one who has been here maybe 3 or 4 seasons, similar to Jeremy Doku. His first season he was absolutely incredible, getting 26 goals in 35 games for us. But after that he sort of fell off a little bit, and with the signing of David Ibrahim last season found himself knocked down the pecking order. So £8.5 million from LA Galaxy to sell for 40 million. Absolutely champion. Next up to leave was Roberto Alvarado. I was a little bit gutted about having to do this, but due to the foreign registration rules, it was a necessity. We've got £33.5 million from Boca Juniors for him. So he is away in Argentina, and he's been great for us. Honestly, we signed him for £5.5 million from Cruz Azul years ago. First couple of seasons, he was an absolutely amazing. And since then, he's been a bit of a bit-bar player, but when he came on, he always produced the performances and got us the goals, and he was so versatile at the same time. So I'm a little bit sad to see him leave, but again, another £28 million profit, so you can't complain with that. Next up was Gonzalo Ramos. He's joined Hoffenheim for £21.5 million. I decided to sell this guy who was out on loan last season to Schalke. Didn't really play enough game time to rapidly improve his game or his value, so we decided just to cut we're not making any loss, we're making a £10 million profit, but we decided to cut him loose, let him join them, and hopefully he can resurrect his career. He was signed to be back up to Gravenberch, and he never really performed for me. Next up to leave the club was Pedro Sarr, £5 million to Valencia. He was one of our youngsters who was signed for cheap. I can't remember how much it was, 350 grand, 3 seasons on loan. He was coming up to the end of his contract. He wanted silly money, so I just decided just to get rid before his contract ran out, and we let him go on a free. Now, an absolute ton of loans. We're not going to address all of them right now. We'll address the main one. Abilio Neves. He was our backup left back, potentially could have been our starter, competing with Carlos Julio, particularly with the amount of potential he still had to grow. But due to signings, he had to go. Transfer listing him, I didn't really want to sell him on the cheap because he is such a good player, so I've decided to loan him out to Juventus to get first team football. They're paying 250 grand per month of playing time, and I think it's the same if he doesn't play, and they're paying all of his wages, and they have said he's going to be a first team regular, so hopefully get him some game time. Might improve his value, might improve his game. He might come back to us next season and be back in the first team squad, but for at least this season he's going to be away at Juventus. A couple others we'll talk about who could have potentially made it into the first team squad had other signings not have happened. Wissam Tamri joined AC Milan for 100 grand a month on loan. He looks absolutely fantastic. He developed lovely after joining Sporting Lisbon in the January of last season, and he played quite well. Again, another year, maybe at Milan next season, potentially if there's a space in the squad for him, we'll get him back in. Leandro Rojas was out on loan at Benfica last season. Now he's on Real Sociedad. He improved quite nicely, only 19 years old striker. He could have easily came in and been our backup striker, but again, due to registration rules, the likes of Darius Courtney will take precedent over him whilst there's not a place in the squad for him. We'll address Johan Hernandez. He's another one who could have potentially made it into the squad. A very, very talented centre-half who spent last season on loan at Inter Milan. This season he's gone on loan to Borussia Dortmund for 100 grand a month. Hopefully he can get first-team football there and continue to improve with a view of next season making it into the first-team squad. I think the rest of them, they're all just either players who are too young or not quite good enough for our first-team squad, who we're just looking for them to go out on loan, improve their value, with the look to sell them in a season or two's time. Now that brings us to the ins, the first of which was Aldrich Berger. You'll have already seen this guy because we did agree the deal in January to sign him for £6.25 million. He's went out on loan to Portland in America. We'll see how he gets on. Hopefully he can improve his game whilst he was there. I would have preferred if he didn't go to America for his long game time, but they were the only club that were coming in and offering him first team football. Next up is Raul Corret. Now he's the reason why we had to get rid of Abilio Neves. We signed him for £16 million. Now, ignore the downward arrows, just let him get back to full fitness. But he looks absolutely incredible, and he might even be our first choice left back. He's going to be competing with Carlos Julio for that spot. And when he came available for £16 million, I was just, the money in my mind just popped up. I went, that is far too cheap. Got to get him signed, got to get him in the squad. The perfectionist personality, I love the high determination, the physicals that to die for, particularly when that returns to 16 and not 15. But everything about him is just absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to see him in a Brighton shirt. Next up was Artur Aguiar from Benfica. It was another player who just popped up at £19 million, and I thought it was too cheap. On reflection, knowing what I know now, we signed him quite early in the window. I probably wouldn't have signed him. He is a very, very talented central midfielder. He was initially signed to be back up to Diogo Aquino in the centre of midfield. And as you can see, he's incredibly well-rounded, 20 determination, technicals and mentals are great, physicals are absolutely spot on, 3.5 star current, 3.5 star potential. He's a very well-rounded player. But the issue we had was Marcelo Saya became available. Now, if you don't recall him, we actually made a £60 million offer in January to try and sign him from Sampdoria. Arsenal went in the summer and offered 40 million, and that was accepted, so I went straight in at 40 million. And he is going to be our starting central midfielder, I think. Now, physically amazing, mentally amazing. Technically, he could do with some improvement, but I'm sure that will come with some time. He's still only 20 years old, 4-star potential, 5-star current, other way around. But it does create a little bit of a problem. We've got three absolutely top central midfielders in Diogo Aquino, Saya and Aguiar. What is going to happen is I've dropped Diogo Aquino to the defensive midfield role. Bentieb is still injured, and even if he wasn't, he would still be getting dropped for Aquino in the defensive midfield role, with Marcelo Saya being my preferred option in central midfield, and Aguiar will just be the backup for the central midfield, which is what he was initially signed to be anyway. And that brings us to the £105 million signing Paulinho from Bayern. I was desperate for an absolutely top-class left winger. We signed Insfran in the January transfer window, and whilst he is a good player, he's not on the same level as Paulinho. Now, I've actually made a mistake. My obsession with getting money, value in the market, or not spending over £100 million cost me, because I could have had Rodrigo for £100 million straight instead of Paulinho, but I turned the option down purely because it was £100 million. And then as the transfer window went on, it became apparent that some of my other targets weren't going to be available for less than 100. So I thought, right, I'm just going to blow the big bucks and go for the best player possibly can. And Paulinho was that guy from Bayern Munich. £105 million. I don't think I've ever spent that amount of money on any FM. Not that I can recall. Maybe I did. But he's absolutely superb. Incredibly well-rounded. A clear upgrade on anything we had on either wing. And I'm hoping he can carry us to some Champions League glory this season, or at least further into the competition than the quarterfinals. So financially, we're still in an incredibly healthy spot. £260 million in the overall balance, £190 million still to spend in the transfer budget, purely down to how I budgeted the Paulinho transfer. I think it was £50 million up front, then 55 over 3 years. So based on, and all the money that all the players that we actually sold was money straight in, everything in. So over the next couple of seasons, our transfer budget will be a little bit lower purely because of that Paulinho deal, but it's kept our budget absolutely looking healthy as anything. And we've still got a couple of £100,000 available in the wage budget there as well. Now, we're actually only in the 4th of August. The January transfer window isn't shut. The summer transfer window isn't shut until the 9th or the 10th. But I wanted to come back, bring you the Community Shield. It's a little bit different. We'll play Chelsea and we'll see if we can get our first piece of silverware for the season. And the reason why I didn't mind coming back this early either, I don't envisage myself making any other signings or selling any other major players. Maybe some more loans might go out, but apart from that, it's going to be nothing major. Now, unfortunately, the Olympic Games is going on this summer, so we're not going to be able to see the likes of Paulinho start today or Marcelo Saya who are with the Brazil under-23s and Italy under-23s respectively. So this is going to be the lineup for today's game against Chelsea. Antonio Carlos will start in goal, Valentin at right back, Nathan Wood and Jolich will be our centre-backs as Badiashile is on international duty and Luis Gonçalves is currently injured. Carlos Julio will start at left back with the... Actually, I'm going to start Raul Corret. He's a little bit less rated. He is typically a left winger. I am training him to be a left back naturally, so we'll have to see how that goes. Diogo Quino is going to start in that defensive midfield role. As I said, he has been training there all summer to get used to that role, so the more I play him there in regular matches, that'll be great. Aguiar is going to get his debut in at central midfield. Sebastian Jaros, Bert Jacobs, Juan Insfran will be our attacking midfielders with our usual David Ibrahim leading the line. And Chelsea come at us with pretty much the same team that we were playing last season, apart from Rodrigo, an absolutely huge signing who I wish I'd made myself. Sicker, I've never actually seen. He's a decent Argentinian right back, nothing incredibly special. Community Shield, it's not a big deal if we'll get beat, but I would like to win it. So, Chelsea kick-off. We are shooting from left to right in this first half. I want to see a positive performance. I want to see some of my new boys maybe make a little bit of a difference. Oh my God, Jadon Sancho was nearly straight through. Great challenge by, I'm going to guess, it was Mark Jolich. Highlight now, 3 minutes in. We are in an advanced position with Aquino on the edge of the box. He finds Aguiar. Can he get his debut goal? He goes for the shot. 2 shots. Maybe we shouldn't be expecting too many goals from him this season, I think. Another highlight now, Sebastian Jaros with a corner. It's claimed by Kepa. We'll see where this goes. Jaros pinches the ball in the centre of the park and he tries to set away Insfan down the left-hand side. Unfortunately for us, it was cut out. Still got John Sutar in at centre-back, which I really appreciate, Chelsea. That's quite nice. Jolich, oh my God, Jolich. Jolich, you're the best centre-back in the game. Or near enough the best centre-back in the game. That is a little bit shocking. Absolutely terrible. Marcus Rashford makes him pay for his mistakes. Rodrigo with the through ball, who should be in our shirt. And Jolich completely screws that up, and Antonio Carlos is left with no hope. And Rashford puts Chelsea 1-0 up. Another highlight though, 15 minutes in. Fans, get the... What a cross this is, by the way. And David Ibrahim gets the ball in the back of the net for his first goal of the season. This is an absolutely fantastic cross. I think it's bouncing, and he hits it first time. That is a great cross. And Ibrahim makes no mistakes. Beats Kepa at his far post. 1-1. Another highlight now, another corner. Didn't actually go well for us last time, but it's disallowed. Offside, no celebrations. We don't need that in our life. And that is the end of the first half. Chelsea 1, Brighton 1. Probably a fair result so far. Neither side really dominating. A sloppy mistake by us giving them the lead, but Ibrahim levelling quickly after. Let's hope we can play better this second half. Another highlight now, and it's Jadon Sancho down the right hand side. Chelsea gets the ball in. Antonio Carlos claims. Aquino brings the ball forward and finds Insfran on this left-hand side. Jacobs to Ibrahim. Is he going to go for the strike? He is. What a strike that is. His second goal of the season already. 2 goals in this game today. An assist by Bert Jacobs. Kepa probably should have done a little bit better with that. We'll take a look again in the replay. But I like the fact that David Ibrahim is even taking these chances on and at least getting the shot on target. He goes, yeah, Kepa should be saving that, definitely. With 30 minutes to go, we will look to make some substitutions. We'll get Carlos Julio on for Raul Corret at that left-back role. We'll get Veerman on as well for Sebastian Jaros in the right midfield role. Giving these boys some game time. Particularly the likes of Veerman. He needs to start stepping up this season, I think. Aquino goes for goal. Hits the bar from far out and a free kick. 20 minutes to go. There is another highlight. Jacobs breaks with the ball. He hasn't got many men forward apart from Ibrahim. Somebody else is joining him. Veerman on that right-hand side. A lot of men forward now if we can find the right through ball. Aquino on the edge. Finds Aguiar. Insfran goes for it. Not to be. 8 minutes remaining in this match. There is another highlight. It's us on the attack again down this left-hand side. Bert Jacobs thought he was going to take the strike. Ibrahim's in the box. So Jacobs or Aquino should have taken the strike there. They were a little bit too unselfish. We'll bring on Ryan Gravenberch for Jacobs there. Who's struggling a little bit with his conditioning. Another highlight though, Jolich goes close from a corner. 5 minutes to go. Hopefully we can see the rest of this game out and pick up our first piece of silverware for the season. Veerman with a corner. It's cleared by Nicolo Barella, only as far as Gravenberch. It's back out to Veerman. Ball's whipped in. Some good defending by Chelsea, but we're keeping up the pressure. Aguiar's got Valentin. And what a goal that is. Valentin Gangavanu. That's the first and last time I'm going to try saying him. Brighton 3, Chelsea 1. Absolutely fantastic stuff. It was defended well, the corner and the resultant crosses by Chelsea, but they left so much space on this. Who is this? Is this Rodrigo? It is Rodrigo. He's terrible. I'm glad I didn't sign him. But Valentin makes sure puts Brighton 3-1 up. And here we are. This will be the final highlight of the game. We're already 4 minutes into the allotted overtime. If the referee can blow a full-time whistle any time now, that would just be fantastic. And there we are. Brighton 3, Chelsea 1. Here we are celebrating our little Community Shield win. Thank God for that. It's always nice getting your first win in your first game back after the summer transfer window. We'll see how some of our new signings bed in over the first few games. And in the next episode, when we return, it will be the game against Wolves and our opening game in the Champions League group stage. And of course, we'll see the draw as well before we play those games. But anyway, if you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like and let me know what you think of the Paulinho signing. £105 million is a lot of money to spend, but hopefully he can do the business for us this season. But until next time, take it easy.